김영권
돌아갑니다. 공동이입니다. 공동이 역전을 만듭니다. 이천의 갈비를.
Winners of the FC Champions League 2020, Ulsan Hyundai.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello. 안녕하세요. Ryan Walters here for the death of football. As it turns out, we're not doing this anymore. Everything's done and dusted. Matthew Binns is here. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing absolutely fine, Ryan, but you don't sound your usual chirpy self. Why could that be?
Chirpy self? We're going to start right there. What do you mean, chirpy self? Anyway, yeah. No, look, I'm super excited for Austin Berry's former team, FC Anyang. That's why, for those of you watching live, I may be repping said kit for the evening. Yeah, that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the K-League 2 playoff final coming up this weekend and nothing else now. We're here for a late night edition.
Past the watershed.
We decided daytime TV edition is fun and all, but let's go ahead and go for the nighttime show this time around because the K-League 2 playoffs got started tonight and they ended 0-0. We'll explain why that's still a result shortly, but Daejeon Hana Citizen are going to be moving on, and my beloved, the mighty Jeonnam Dragons will be, you know what? They're just staying at the party. They're going to be in K-League 2 again next year, but we will talk about that and a whole lot more. Because it's been a busy week, Matthew. A week ago, I was running around the bunker excitedly because of the FA Cup, where the Dragons are on to the final. We will talk about the semifinal there, a bit of controversy there as well. We will touch on all of that. And just you were covering just a small match tonight, just a few goals in that one down in Gwangju.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but I can honestly say that Gwangju have left me with a headache and quite a migraine coming into this podcast. So if I tend to veer off more than I usually do, then blame it on Gwangju or blame it on Seoul. Blame it on one of them. Both are deserving recipients.
That's fair, I suppose. Yeah, so we do have that, and then we have the mailbag. As always, we had some questions come in earlier this week on Twitter and the Gram, and even some on Facebook. Whole Facebook making a comeback these days for our mentions. But anyway, Matthew, let's do a little bit of housekeeping before we hop into this.
Yeah, sure. As always, lots of things going on, lots of matches going on, as we've already alluded to. But yeah, the Korean men's under-23s, they've qualified for the 2022 under-23 Asian Cup. So congratulations to them. And hopefully we'll see another wave of young Korean talent make it to the Olympics at some point and hopefully get that military exemption. You never know. But it's a long way off it. They've got the AFC Cup first. Next, we have previews galore on kleague.com. We've got the round preview for Final A. The round previews for Final B have been out this week. They'll be out this weekend as well. We have Jeonbuk versus Ulsan, Part 5. Yes, somewhere amongst all of this, there is Jeonbuk versus Ulsan, another massive match, and a match we're probably not going to get to today. So what I'll say is go back to the previous 4 previews of this match on this podcast, chop and choose your best bits, and it's probably a semi-coherent preview because I'm not expecting a lot to change there, but we'll talk about Ulsan's recent form and Jeonbuk's showing at the weekend, and you can decide for yourself how it's going to play out.
Yeah, we can, it's just kind of just spin a wheel and see how it's going to go, because that's how that's been. Yeah, it's been such an insane week, and there's been so much going on that I forgot that's coming up this weekend. Maybe we'll touch on that beforehand, but like you say,
I'll be there. I'll be watching it with Peter Hampshire, and we'll be watching it in the fully vaxxed North Stand, where they're allowed 100% capacity, which is From this weekend in K-League, there has been a relaxation in the social distancing rules. Some stadiums operating at 50% with social distancing enforced, but some stadiums or even just some areas within stadiums are operating now with 100% up to 100% capacity. If you can prove you're fully vaccinated, obviously, and that also includes you can eat food and drink now in stadiums. Still have to wear a mask, still cannot sing, but you can sit together.
I mean, it's progress, right? This is the first time in 2 years that we'll be able to do that in a league game anyway. The last...
I'm going to be doing what I've been doing all year. I'll be sitting next to Peter, watching it. Nothing changes. We'll just be in a different stand.
Yeah. Yeah. The last time that the last time that I was in the stands for a game properly was when FC Seoul were in Champions League. That's how long it's been. When Melbourne Victory came to town. A different life. Anyway, the ACL dream is still alive for the Jeonnam Dragons, but the K-League 2 playoffs are not. Tonight, Daejeon Hana Citizen held on to a 0-0 draw at home at the Hanbap in Daejeon, and they're moving on. There was some confusion, some rightful confusion, I should say, online about this. Matthew, do you want to explain why Daejeon's moving on? Do you want to tell everybody why?
Because they're just better than Jeonnam. Well, yes, they are, according to the league table, and that is why they are moving on. The K-League 2 operates on a single leg playoff until the promotion relegation final, and the single leg playoff favours the home team, favours the team that finished higher, which is also the team that is at home. In this case, Daejeon finishing above Jeonnam. So by drawing, Daejeon advance. But do you think they're deserved? It's not a final, is it? But deserved of progression, Ryan?
I mean, look, if we're gonna have playoffs, I think we should have playoffs. I'm right on the fence on this ruling because I think you've got to have something that makes the season worthwhile, right? And for some folks, home field advantage isn't enough for that. And so this is an extra step. To me, you could also just go straight to pens and you're not adding that extra time into the game. The players don't have to go that length, and you can have a winner. You can have something exciting. I mean, I think even for the Daejeon fans going there and being like, woo, we didn't lose. All right. I think that's a little bit tough. But I mean, on the whole, I really think that, Daejeon, they were the better team throughout the season. It's been neck and neck between these two teams all year. And look, this was my concern all along with Jeonnam not winning the league when it looked like, okay. Surprise, surprise. Anybody listening knows the truth here anyway. When it looked like we were going to be able to at least be up there with Gimcheon and fighting for the title, I thought, okay, that's the way to do it, because if Jeonnam has to go into the playoffs, who's going to score the goals? And that was the problem tonight. Balotelli, he's been there before, for Jeonnam to score the goals that are needed, but he was just off the pace at the very end tonight, and just wasn't able to get on the end of the ball the way that he needed to. His one-on-one battles tonight were just really leaving a lot to be desired. Got into position relatively well, but was slow to see the pass that was there a lot of times. I thought it was a really rough night for him. And that's why I don't understand why there was only one substitution before, I think like the 76th minute, something like that, was when the first substitution was made. You've got to win the game. You have to break that mentality. Jeonnam have had this mentality all year of don't lose, defend. And that's all well and good in a league game, but you have to win this game. You have to go out there and you have to score a goal and you have to win. And when you're not bringing off fresh leg, or when you're bringing on fresh legs off the bench, I just don't understand what the thinking was there, because for Jeonnam, there's no difference if you lose 5-0 or you draw 0-0. Like, if you've got to go out there and score goals, you got to win. So that was one of the frustrations for me, was just that, especially, we saw a lot from the kids in that final match against Ansan. So it seemed like there was at least a spark. I'm not saying bring the 18, 19-year-olds into this game, but I thought that was kind of a test of what was available on the bench and who could maybe be brought in to kind of create a spark. Also, Samuel Namani was in here, and he didn't get in until the 82nd minute or something like that. So I don't understand the game plan here from the Dragons' perspective. And from Daejeon's side of things, yeah, they did what they needed to do. They got a draw. But now they've got to switch that up. Now they have to go and be the aggressor against FC Anyang, because the same thing would hold true for them. FC Anyang are the higher seeded team. They finished second in the league, so all they need is a draw. Let's hope that we can get some goals out of that one. But I will also say that Alex Meyer is currently watching on Facebook, fellow Jeonnam Dragons fan, saying, "See you in the FA Cup, Daegu," which is where we are with things as Dragons fans right now.
Yeah, well, at least you've got something else to look forward. Season's not over for Jeonnam, and it has been quite a good season for them. It should be said. I think they have looked really strong at times. And I mean, I haven't watched. It sounds a bit bad. I don't dabble in the K2 as much because my interests don't really lie there. Fantastic league, always entertaining. But I've been especially surprised. Seen 2 Jeonnam games this week. Saw their semi-final against Ulsan. Saw part of it tonight until all hell broke loose in Gwangju, and then my eyes got diverted elsewhere. But I thought they looked all right. I think Balotelli, I could understand why, to an extent, the manager probably was reluctant to make changes, because they were causing Daegu a lot of questions, perhaps. I thought Daegu, did I say Daegu? Sorry,
I was wondering where you're going with that. Sorry,
head's already in the final. No. It caused Daejeon a few problems. I thought, well, Balotelli looked like he might, but I think credit should go to Eulji Seoul from Daejeon. I thought, having only one eye on it, you would believe that it was Masatoshi Ishida who was having the game of his life, and I'm sure he did do very well. The commentator shouting Masa every 5 minutes, it sounded like. But for me, every time I looked, it was Eulji Seoul there in the Daejeon defense. I thought he really helped keep Jeonnam at bay. But yeah, strong season still from Jeonnam, you'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is about what was expected going into the season, to be honest, was to play good defense and maybe make a run in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, we've been saying it all year. They just really desperately need somebody to open up that attack, and it just wasn't there tonight. So we've got a question coming in here. I'll let you read it out. You're the mailbag guy.
Would you swap the FA Cup final for a place in the playoff final?
No. You know what? Because I would happily take the Jeonnam Dragons in K-League 2 playing an AFC Champions League next year, baby. Let's do it. Let's go. A K-League 2 team on the continent? Yes, please. And I will find out some sort of way to travel and be in the stadium for that. I don't care what it takes. I will be there for it. If the Dragons beat Daegu and can make it into ACL as a K2 club, I'm there. So no, the storylines are too good.
And well, Jeonnam might very well have a chance against Daegu in the final, but I think we'll leave that for the mailbag, because there is a question about Daegu and their faltering form in a bit. So we'll probably touch on that a little bit later, and obviously we'll touch on it when we finally preview the FA Cup, when we know the actual fixture for that.
Yes, but that's coming up, as is a crazy night in K-League 1. I don't want to dwell on this for too long. But anyway, Daejeon will be moving on. They will be facing the Violets. The Purples are going to face the Violets. Always love it when these two teams face each other. All makes sense. K-League history. It's a beautiful world. But we're going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about an absolutely insane night in K-League 1. We'll be right back.
FNR is a revolutionary football-dedicated digital platform, the first of its kind in Australia. It provides a 24/7 live online radio platform experience, podcast hub, and acts as a content provider for TV, radio, and digital. Having reached millions of listeners and football fans since launching, FNR is accessible worldwide via its website or app, providing a platform to discuss, debate, and celebrate the world game. We are your voice of football, FNR Football Nation Radio.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast, which is not a pile on the Jeonnam Dragons podcast, I might say, for those of you watching live saying terrible things about the FA Cup final. But we'll get to that. Matthew, you and I were busy tonight, but before we can get to any of that, it was also a very busy weekend post-split in K-League 1.
Yep. Incredibly busy weekend. I'm just going to run through the results because there's no way we can properly delve into each match, but we can start with Saturday with a Gyeongin derby to start the final B round of fixtures. And it started... Well, it finished early for Paek Sang-hun, who came off at 13 minutes for a foul, for dangerous play, a very high boot there. And then Incheon, they went on to score 2 goals. Song Chi-yu, as he always seems to do in these fixtures, time, he netted the rebound off Aguilar's save shot before then he turned provider in the final minute to provide the cutback for Kim Hyun, who... back-heeled, side-footed it nicely into the back of the net. It moved on then into the afternoon, the standout fixture of the afternoon, that is Suwon Blue Wings versus Jeonbuk. And despite what the scoreline ended up, it was a bit of a slow burner, this one, as has become typical with Jeonbuk in this. And it has become typical with Suwon post the Champions League group stages. It was 1-0 at the end of the first half. Takehiro Kunimoto finding the net after 11 minutes. Came to life a little bit in the second half. Jung Sang-bin hit the post for Suwon Blue Wings before a nice bit of passing play culminating in Song Min-kyu, who played it through to Kim Bo-kyung to finish, making it 2-0 to Jeonbuk. A penalty for Ilyachenko, making it 3 before Ilyachenko finding a second, forcing his way through the defence to make it 4-0 Jeonbuk. So yeah, all good there, really. And there was one more game on Saturday, though, should be said. One more game that involved Songnam and Pohang. Just the 1 goal in this one. Tae Ji-muk with a header at the near post from a corner, just at the halfway mark. And that was Saturday in the K-League.
Yeah, just a few things going on there. I think the Songnam, man, they're fighting. They're fighting right now. And I think Pohang is reeling a little bit. They obviously had a really good result tonight that we'll get to. But Songnam was a team that I've just kept saying that it's going to be them. I think they'll be the team that is in that Pro Rail playoff final. And that still could happen. But, man, they're they are fighting for their lives, and they're doing a fine job with it right now.
Well, speaking of one team that is not really fighting for their lives in terms of ACL qualification, and that is Daegu FC. Yes, they started Sunday with a not 1, not 2, but a 5-0 defeat to Jeju United. They just didn't turn up. Fresh off the back of their progression to the FA Cup final. This one started in the half-hour mark. Kim Okyu opening the scoring before An Hyun-bom hit the crossbar and Kim Ok followed up. But then Lee Chang-min, he finished a counter move that was threaded through by Jo Sung-jun. Joo Min-kyu, after the interval, scoring 2 penalties in a row. Before Jo Sung-jun, after playing provider earlier, finished the rout off 5-0 to Jeju. And that puts them in contention for that third space. We do have a question on that in the mailbag we will get to. But there was nearly another scare in the final A, and that was between Ulsan and Suwon FC. Vako got a penalty on the 10th minute. This one, I'd say not really a penalty, but then some say he probably deserved a penalty against Jeonnam in the semi-final. Not you, though, Ryan.
Would we say that?
I don't know.
You can get around maybe, but...
But yeah, no. So Ulsan got off to a good start. Quickly followed up by Oh Se-hun 4 minutes later, heading in to make it 2-0. Murillo to Lars, a goal made by Jeonbuk, I guess, and haunting Ulsan to make it 2-1 before Yang Dong-hyun found the equaliser to make it 2-2 after latching onto an assist by Han Sung-gyu. Ulsan, though, the bottle job wasn't on after some...
Oh, you were hoping, though.
Oh, I was hoping after that Jeonbuk result. But yeah, Ulsan, on the back of 3 defeats coming into this one in 3 different competitions, they did manage to find the winner, and it was Lee Dong-kyung, my favourite player in that Ulsan team. But yes, lovely finish by him. It was Osehun, he knocked it down to Lee Dong-yeon. He kind of controlled it, knocked it past the keeper and tapped it in. And 3-2 to Ulsan, keeping things level going into this weekend's clash with Jeonbuk, only separated by goals scored. The final game of the weekend then was Gwangju versus Gangwon. And, let's just say, Kim Dae-won, he opened the scoring for Gangwon from the penalty spot. Then Gwangju fought back with goals from Lee Chan-dong and Hoyeol to make it 2-1. Final minute, though, Shin Se-gye with a rocket to make it 2-2. A collapse for Gwangju? No, never, surely. But surely they'd have learned from that. Definitely wouldn't have a collapse again after that lesson at the weekend. That was the weekend's results, Ryan. Anything to build on there?
I mean, Lee Dong-yeon is, as you may remember from ACL, steps up in the big moments, and I think is credit to the way that Ulsan are building in a lot of ways. I wish that they had. They've got a few people that step up. I mean, I think great for him. I'll just keep it on the positive. Good for him. I think he's building a lot of confidence, and he's already that guy for a team that's challenging for the title, and that's massive, especially on that team. And it's nice to see Osehun get a goal in there as well. It's good for his confidence, and those two are going to have to be massive this weekend. So for Ulsan, just thank you for keeping the title race alive for another weekend, because had they lost to Suwon, I just don't see this weekend's match against Jeonbuk going very well. So that was absolutely massive. And man, Suwon FC, what a team they've put together this year. They're playing with house money at this point, and then they're still going down to Ulsan and giving them a game. Just tremendous stuff from them.
Yeah, definitely. I think out of from a Jeonbuk perspective, obviously Ulsan is a massive match, but I am quite concerned that Jeonbuk do have to face both Jeju and Suwon, both teams that they've struggled with this season. So, yeah, good performance from Suwon there, despite the defeat. We are going to touch on what we've learned so far, but there has been another round, half a round of fixtures. Final B have been in action midweek. Final A teams have not. So, the matches that have not long finished.
So we got tons of notes.
Tons of notes, I'm sure. Well, a quick one then was Songnam FC versus Incheon United. Park Soo-il headed in at the near post to give Songnam an early lead in the 7th minute before it was Kim Hyun again finding the equaliser, this time for Incheon, and putting them Incheon practically safe nearly with games to spare. This is not an Incheon we are familiar with, but there were other things to take in. Pohang, they found the form that saw them fly into the AFC Champions League final, beating Gangwon 4-0. Goals there from Lee Sung-mo, Shin Jin-ho, Park Sung-uk, and Kang Sang-woo. So yeah. Not a good.
That was one I had my eye on there, and for Lee Sung-mo, I'm just so happy for him to finally get a goal in the league this season. Somebody that's played a lot of time in defense, but was moved up to a striker this year, has had some massive moments for them in ACL, including the match winner against Cerezo. If you haven't seen his goal against Nagoya Grampus, get it in your face right now. Hit pause on this live stream if you're watching live and go watch that goal. It's fantastic. So for him to finally get his first in the league, I mean, he was actually emotional. He was crying a little bit afterwards because it just meant that much to him. And hopefully there'll be some way around his military duty that he has to do and hasn't had time to do. And he can still go to the ACL final. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when it comes a bit closer to it. But yeah, he hasn't quite completed the hours he needs. Might not be able to leave the country till they're done. That's the same for a couple of players at the moment. It's a bit unfair, really, because a lot of the community service that they would have been able to do hasn't been available because of Corona.
Correct.
So you're thinking that there probably will be a workaround sorted in the near future. But yeah, we'll talk about that when we get a bit closer to the day. And yeah, anyway, there was one more game in the K-League, and it was Gwangju, fresh off letting a lead slip at the weekend. They decided not to let lightning strike twice and found themselves 3-0 up against FC Seoul after 60 minutes.
What could go wrong?
Now, what could go wrong indeed? It was Kim Jong-woo, Lee Chang-dong, Lee Chang-dong, and On Won-sang, finding 3 goals. On Won-sang capitalizing on a sole mistake there as well. It led lots of people to proclaim that Gwangju were fighting for their lives and Seoul looked destined to be relegated. Obviously, things changed very quickly in the K-League, and so it did here. An own goal from Alex in the 65th minute was quickly followed by a goal from Alexander Polosevic in the 68th minute, an assist by Go-Yohan there. Kang Song-jin then slotted home the equaliser before, in the 88th minute, Go-Yohan netted what would prove to be the winner, making it 4-3 to FC Seoul. And Gwangju, it's not looking good. They're not down, but they probably might as well be, having dropped points to Gangwon and Seoul, the 2 teams who are directly above them in this relegation race. It's not a good look. And you got to think their fans are probably already eyeing up those tickets to Jeonnam, I guess. Probably looking forward to it. Yeah,
can finally have a local derby again. Except, well, we've got one kind of with Jeonnam, but they're more into the Busan one. But with this one, man, Gwangju, defend. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, I guess this is why they're not going to be in K-League 1 next year. I mean, you just put the nail in their coffin. They're done. They're not. There's no way. There's no way. I also said that Gimcheon wouldn't lose a game this year, but I'm much more certain of this one. But on the other side of things, for FC Seoul, I actually had this thought when you in the group chat were like, oh, Seoul's down. They're done. Just relegate them now. I was like, if they could get a draw out of this, that would be a season-saving draw. To come back and get a win out of this, it's only got them in 10th as of right now. They're on 40 points, which is just 2 above Gangwon, right below them. So they're not safe. I think it's going to come down to the final weekend for them, to be honest. But just absolutely massive for that locker room to fight back and to get 3 points. You just can't understate what that means to this team right now. And you could see it with Go-Yohan when he scores that game winner against Gwangju. That's not typically going to be a massive thing in FC Seoul's history, but it certainly was tonight. And I think the players needed something like that. And so for them, I think that this is going to be something that'll carry them through the rest of the games that they have remaining, which isn't many, but it'll be a big motivator for them.
Well, I believe they have Songnam at the weekend, who are directly above them with 1 point. So that'll also be played in Jamshil. So interesting for FC Seoul fans and Seoul Elan fans alike. I understand, seeing from our Seoul Elan columnist Michael Redmond, that Seoul Elan fans have had messages from Jamshil that tickets are available for FC Seoul.
Get in there. Yeah, I think I might be doing the double this weekend and going out to Anyang for the playoff final and then coming back all the way over to Jamshil for the nightcap to take that one in. Because, that's another absolutely massive 6-pointer in the relegation battle there. But any takeaways from this midweek action for you, Matthew?
It genuinely was going to be about 2 hours ago. It was about Gwangju can do this. So let's just put that one in the bin. I'll move to somewhere in final. You did one in final B. I'm going to look at final A, and final A would be just Daegu. Daegu. Oh, I mean, they have beat Gangwon. They beat Gangwon midweek, and we are going to quickly touch on the FA Cup, but 1-0, that flattered Gangwon, that scoreline. So perhaps it had been taken out of them a little bit there, but to lose 5-0 at home to Jeju when you're supposed to be trying to get this third spot. Again, we don't know whether because Jeonnam have made it difficult now for everyone, as they always do with these things.
You're welcome.
But third place might not actually be a Champions League spot if Jeonnam win the FA Cup.
Woo!
Because if Jeonnam win the FA Cup rather, and Pohang win the Champions League. Pohang has to win the Champions League as well. In this scenario. Right. So double POSCO, double Hyundai in the Champions League. But yeah, if Pohang were to win the Champions League and Jeonnam were to win the FA Cup, then third place would no longer be a Champions League spot because the champions are now, the AFC champions are allowed back in now using a nation's lowest ranked spot, which would be the third spot in this case. So yeah, who knows? The Daegu probably have to put everything in on the cup. But yeah, it's also got a little bit worse for Daegu because another news, Hwang Sun-min, Jung Sung-won and Park Han-bin have been banned from playing for the rest of the season by the club after reportedly breaking COVID-19 protocols in terms of social distancing. I'm not 100% sure what they've done. There doesn't really say too much in the press release, but yeah, Daegu are not going to be letting them play for the rest of the season. So that's 3 players that get regular game time who will not be available for them. So could be interesting.
You've got to imagine that's it for Jung Sung-won with this team, right? I mean, after the contract or the image rights issue that he had at the beginning of the season, and now this, I can't see him suiting up for Daegu again, to be honest. And look, as a Dragons fan, doesn't break my heart him not being in there. I think he'll be a massive miss for the rest of the season. So, yeah, not smart on their part. This is the world we live in, you know. As an American watching the World Cup qualifiers, Weston McKennie wasn't in some of our matches because he broke COVID protocol. So just stay in the hotel, guys. It sucks, I know, but just do it anyway. But yeah, I think Daegu, hey, now's the time to get cold, guys. Just keep that form going until the end of the season and just slouch into that FA Cup and lose over 2 legs. Because, we couldn't beat Daejeon tonight in a one-off. I'm sure we'll be fine against Daegu in 2 legs. Anyway, my takeaway is the same takeaway that I have every year around this time, which is never doubt Incheon. They know what they're doing. They're always going to be fine. It's not even the Great Escape this year.
It's boring, if anything.
Yeah, it's terrible. But that was my main takeaway from both rounds in Final B there, because Incheon are just finding a way to win and win games, not just see out games, but to win games. That win that they got against Pohang before the split was absolutely massive. And then to start the split with a win against FC Seoul at home. I mean, at that point, I kind of already considered them safe when they won against Seoul, just because I didn't see them screwing that up afterwards. But props to Incheon. It'd be nice to see them in the top half next year. But I believe I said at the beginning of the season, if they can finish like 8th or 9th and have their fans be comfortable, that'd be a good season. So could be a very good season for them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's it for K-League 1 for now. Speaking of good seasons, we're going to come back and talk about the greatest competition in all of Korea, the one that we all care about, the FA Cup. We'll be right back.
Fans, we want to hear from you. You're encouraged to email KLU at info@kleagueunited.com or tweet at KLeague United with any questions, comments or reactions. Or follow us on Facebook to ask directly during one of our live shows.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I am your host and biggest FC Anyang fan there's ever been, Ryan Walters, and I'm not bitter about the Dragons losing to Paul Neitz. Daejeon Hana says, I actually expected Paul because I put the link to the podcast live stream in our group chat, and I almost expected him to just like show up at the beginning and just be like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm ready to go."
He might appear. He's more than, if he's listening, he's more than welcome to join in. I would love to get his thoughts on that.
Get in here for the mailbag, Paul, if you're listening.
If you're listening, but yes,
please don't be listening. I don't wanna.
Too busy celebrating, I'm sure.
That's right. Let's talk about the FA Cup. Let's move on, where things just they're just not going well for Gangwon in general right now. I was thinking that this could be a tournament where they could turn things around. They instead lost at home 1-0 to Daegu FC. And I believe before we get into any of this and an extreme tonal shift from laughing about Paul hopping on here, it has to be addressed that Edgar came out after this game and said that he was subject to racial abuse, which obviously we do not tolerate. There's no space in this league or any league for racial abuse. I will just say, I will speak for myself. I won't speak for K-League United. I obviously don't speak for the league. I 100% believe what he has said afterwards from this. I believe Edgar. I stand with him and wish that there at least would have been an investigation into this. I think that's very disappointing. But he has made a statement on his personal Instagram. Shinsege, who was on the other side of this, has made a statement on his Instagram. And I'll let those gentlemen that were actually involved in this do the majority of the talking if you don't know the situation. But just right off the top, wanted to say that, again, personally for myself, stand by Edgar here and 100% believe him.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, you think with all the cameras and they've got with VAR and everything, you think that surely just a simple investigation, at least just to properly clarify as much as they can. But the way it was quickly moved past, it's not on.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Just like Gangwon were that night after the match, disappointed because it was Bruno Lamas who came up in the 59th minute with the only goal of the match in a game that I think, look, obviously my attention was elsewhere on the night, but I think that this was one, considering Daegu's form coming into it, I think Gangwon felt that they could have had a chance, and they were there for the most part, but I don't think there was ever going to be another winner in this game on the way that it looked watching it, because Daegu, you just felt like there was one coming for them, and I never really got that sense from Gangwon in this game.
Yeah, Daegu were all over them. There was they missed a penalty, obviously. They hit the crossbar. Obviously, they did get the goal in the end, and what a goal it was from Lamas. Lamas, absolute rocket of a goal. But yeah, you didn't really think Gangwon had it in them, and that's kind of bled into their league form as well. I mean, great, they did find an equaliser against Gwangju. Had to be a wonder goal to do it, but yeah, the way they performed tonight against Pohang as well, it's kind of, they should really probably be focusing on the league, because they do look in danger of being involved in the relegation, promotion, playoff, at least. Again.
Yeah, they've been there before. Yeah, so got a lot to mailbag, so we'll keep the FA Cup one kind of short, but not if Dan Croydon's watching, because we're going to move on and talk about the mighty Jeonnam Dragons going to Ulsan, celebrating with the Tiger Claws. It was Lee Jong-ho who got on the board first in the 22nd minute, and for those of you who don't know, Gwangju Rooney, he used to play for Ulsan and coined the amazing Tiger Claws celebration that they still use. It was there before him, sure, but he brought it back in an amazing way. And after he scored this goal, just went nuts and went for it. Full on jump Tiger Claw celebration. It was great. And then Jang Soon-hyuk ended up heading in 2-0. Everything was looking great. And then Vako got a penalty in the 80th minute to make things really, really nervy. But the Dragons held strong. This was one where, yeah, I mean, look, set pieces and counterattacking. I grew up a fan of the United States men's national team in the 90s. This is how you win games, folks. This is how you do it. But I think for Jeonnam, obviously executed the game plan that they wanted, which was to frustrate Ulsan's attackers, kind of keep things in the middle of the pitch as much as they could, try to get those wingers out of play. They did manage to get a few chances, and there might have been a little bit of controversy in this one. Yoonbit Karam gets his shirt tugged in the box, and yeah, that's a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
That's a penalty.
Definitely.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to argue that it's not. But I would also say that if the defending champions of Asia need a penalty against the K-League 2 Jeonnam Dragons in order to win the game, well, then they've got bigger things to worry about, don't they? And I think they've got bigger things to worry about, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's been a bit of a rough couple of weeks. It feels like ages. I'm going to be honest.
It does. It does.
Ulsan beat Jeonbuk, and it was like, wow, here they come. Ulsan, they've done it. It's a watershed moment, I think was the phrase we used. Then they lost to Pohang, going to extra time again, losing on penalties to Pohang in another entertaining Champions League match. Then before losing to Songnam that weekend, and then losing to Jeonnam Dragons here. So out of 3 competitions within 10 days. But it does feel a lot longer. And I mean, you have to think how tired they probably are, in all fairness. It probably isn't isn't the best excuse. I still think that they probably still had enough to beat Jeonnam. I have seen Dan mention the depth issues in Ulsan, and perhaps it's far worse than I actually did anticipate. But I still think they had enough in that team, enough quality in that team to find something against Jeonnam. But yeah, they've
certainly could have rotated the squad more going into that game. I mean, yeah, this has been a brutal schedule for Ulsan, for sure. Like that's real rough.
I find it hard to sympathize. I genuinely do.
No, do you?
Well, yeah, of course, but it's Ulsan. They want to be champions, and you think they have been investing heavily, and you think, well, surely you could have invested a bit more, a bit better, perhaps. They've got a great team. They've got a great team, and I do think they're going to do very well against Jeonbuk this weekend, because they've now had a full week off. They were unfortunate to lose Lee Dong-jun in the national team, and Yuni Lok has been working wonders in his absence, and they did lose Dave Bultwees as well in one of the recent matches as well. He went going off injured against Jeonnam as well, but didn't stop them from beating Suwon. Dave Bultwees might be back for the weekend. It's touch and go, and same with Lee Dong-jun as well. He's about 50-50, I reckon, for him to come back. We'll see if he turns up this weekend. But yeah, they've had a full week's rest, so any advantage Jeonbuk could have probably taken of tiring legs is probably out the window. This is going to be another full strength squad, 2 full strength teams just battling it out like we saw a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, like we see all the time between them. But yeah, with Ulsan, I think, especially to bring it back to the FA Cup for a second, then we'll take a break and hop in the mailbag. But I think this is one where I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what happened with Hintasir, but man, you got to keep him around for the season. I don't know if the transfer money was just too good and they couldn't say no to it, but I love Osei Hoon. I think Osei Hoon's fantastic. But this, to me, is a perfect example where you need somebody else as a scoring option, and they just don't really have that.
Yeah, there is a lack of depth there, and I don't think the centre-back options are particularly... well, no, obviously Kim Ki-hee and Dave Bultwees, we go on about them being good options, although they do seem to stumble against Jeonbuk quite often. But with Dave Bultwees out, it's Im Jong-un, former Jeonbuk player, and former Jeonnam player as well.
I was going to say, you go back a little further.
I mean, he won the Champions League with Jeonbuk. So he's not a bad defender, actually. He played quite well for Jeonbuk in the end.
I didn't like him when he was with Jeonnam. He wanders around way too much. He just all of a sudden is at the midway line. I mean, what are you doing?
I do feel that if Dave Bultwees is absent and he's playing against Jeonbuk this weekend, then Jeonbuk might have a chance. Yeah, it doesn't bode well.
All right. Anyway, we're on to it anyway. Let's just take a really quick break, and then we'll be back for the Eulji Lewis Mailbag. We'll be right back.
Eulji Lewis is your neighborhood British bar and cafe located in the Eulji district of Seoul. Decorated in old English antiques and furniture for a true homely feel, you can enjoy homemade scones, cakes and afternoon tea during the day, and traditional British favourites like beef stew, English ale, and a fine selection of wines at night. Available for private parties or simply an evening out, Eulji Lewis is sure to become your favourite neighbourhood pub. Be sure to mention K-League United at the bar during your visit and you'll get 10% off your bill.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Walters, and it is now time for us to jump into the Eulji Lewis Mailbag. Matthew.
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions in from on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook this week. So we've got Steph Badroff on Instagram. Do you guys think Jeju will overtake Daegu and claim third place?
That is an interesting proposition right there. I'll let you take that one. You kind of already hinted at this a little bit.
I mean, Daegu is still creating chances, to be fair. Cecina and Edgar still look deadly, but I think Daegu may go all in on the FA Cup, to be honest. Mm-hmm. We'll see. It's still Daegu's to lose, but Jeju are looking good. I mean, 5-0 against Daegu. That speaks volumes of how well they're playing, but also the 2-2 draw they got with Jeonnam the week before as well just kind of shows that they're quite capable against playing the supposed Champions League teams. Supposed isn't anything about it. They are actually Champions League teams. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, I think Jeju have a good chance. Better than we probably anticipated. Yeah, why not? Jeju to get third place might not get into the Champions League, is what I'm going to say.
Oh, hot take from Matthew Binns. No, Daegu will find form. Unfortunately for me, they'll find form.
There is one actually that's just come in live. That is from ACAC via YouTube. Any chances of Modu Barrow that is appearing in the match this weekend for Jeonnam? It's been a bit of a difficult one with Modu Barrow. He has been injured since coming back from the group stage. He did actually go on international duty though recently, and he has been filmed in training this week. Yeah, so it might be too soon for him. Perhaps he'll make it to the bench. He did play for his national team. He did play a couple of matches, actually, I think. So, yeah, he played for Gambia, and I think it was a hernia he had. There was his injury, but he just seemed to be out for ages. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't know. It'd be great to have him back for this final run-in. Always causes havoc against Ulsan.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think you guys really missed him in ACL.
Yeah, but it's not great of me as the Jeonnam columnist, but your guess is as good as mine at this point, really. I think he is back in training. He has been photographed back in training, but it's more fitness training. It's not with the rest of the team. So I do think this weekend would be too early for him if I was to guess.
There you go.
But yeah, where else am I? Oh, come on. It's 10 o'clock. I don't know. Not usually on there. I'm usually in bed.
Okay, I'll take this one. I'll take this one because I actually answered this last week. So C/y is how I'm going to start saying, because they've been in the stories lately. So thank you for participating. But C/9 on Instagram. I don't know. Who's your pick for 11th in K1? I said Songnam. I've been saying Songnam. I have to stick with that. So that's mine still. What's yours? Mm-hmm. Who's yours, I should say?
Oh, should have been Seoul. It's not going to be Seoul, is it? It's going to be Gangwon. Gangwon, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to get out of there, but I have to keep saying Songnam.
Right, I'll have a go at the next one. Hang on. Whoever put the mailbag, I've lost it. Hang on.
This is why we do the daytime TV and not the late night TV.
Okay, it's Kevin on Twitter. Are Daejeon and Jeonnam the best kits in the K-League 2?
Yes and no. Yes, and I love what Daejeon did this year where they started the season. They're like, we're just going to reuse last year's kits. No big deal. And then about 2 months ago, I think, they're like, it's a retro kit, this one-off retro kit that we're just going to wear for the rest of the year, which is a fantastic idea because it's a lovely kit. It's really, really great. They wore it tonight. I love it. The Dragons wore that all white way too much this year. Not a fan. Don't make that. Had they been wearing yellow tonight, they probably would have won. So I'm going to blame the white kits. But the Dragons kits themselves are great. I really love them, but way too much on the front this year. There are like 5 different sponsors on the front. I'm like, I get it, Postco. I know you do a lot, but calm down. Calm down. Just go back to saying Postco over the front. It looks fine.
Yeah, I do like that Daejeon kit, I must say.
It's nice.
Yeah, take it or leave it. Sorry, I apologize. Lex on Facebook, what club's future is more dependent on winning the FA Cup?
That is an interesting question between Jeonnam and Daegu. I don't think there's anything riding on this for Jeonnam, right? Like another season in K-League 2 next year, winning this. Maybe it could change. It should change the way that they recruit in the off season and who they try to bring in if they're going to have to make a run in ACL. But I don't think it's super important for them in the way that it is for Daegu. Daegu have kind of established themselves as a team that's going to be in ACL on the regular, that's going to be near the top of the table. So I think it's very important for them.
Yeah, 100%. Of those two teams, definitely Daegu. Daegu are trying to maintain an upwards trajectory, and it would be quite a step back to potentially lose 3rd place and lose the FA Cup final. Yeah, it'd be a real sour end to the season for the Sky Blues. So yeah, Daegu on that one. Well, it's kind of, we already know that they're not going to get promoted, but I could read it anyway just to
just read it.
Yeah. Alex Mayer on Facebook, what's more important for the Dragons, winning the FA Cup or winning playoffs for promotion to K-League 1? Well, we know promotion's off the card, but in a hypothetical world, Ryan. And we've already asked at the beginning, but you've had time had time to ferment. Yeah, you had time. It's been 50 minutes.
Nope. Don't care. I do not care about finishing mid-table in K-League 1 next year as much as I care about bringing Champions League football back to Gwangyang. Because that's right. Not only are we going to win in the bubble, because it is going to be bubbled in the group stage next year, but Gwangyang will host the knockout stages next year. That would be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen.
I can't wait for the teams to rock up in Gwangyang, the away team. What do you mean? There's one Starbucks?
That was a big deal when we got the Starbucks. I was there. I remember it.
Costco get some workers' dormitories available from all.
There's a hotel right by the stadium.
Oh, okay. I'll take it all back. I won't be so derogatory about Gwangyang. I've only been there once. It was a lovely visit. 3-0 it was to John Buck. But yeah.
Realistically, though, I think winning promotion would have been more important.
It would have been better, but it would have been boring. Is how I'd K-League 1 definitely probably what they should have prioritized. But yeah, it's not fun, is it? You just want a bit of silverware, surely.
Yeah, a trophy would be fantastic. Yeah. Another FA Cup, I should say.
Yeah, you're not going to. When you go to K-League 1, you're going to win it. Nah, John Buck's still there. Yeah, you know.
All right. I believe that's all the time we have for the mailbag.
No. I've got one question because you haven't answered it. We forgot to answer it. We forgot to preview it. It's Anyang versus Daejeon. Who's going through?
Yes. Well, we also have that little match in K-League 1 as well. Anyang versus Daejeon. Boy, there's just something about this Anyang team this year. I don't know. I'm going to say Anyang. And that's not just because I'm bitter. Obviously, been joking this week about Paul and I can't be friends and I hate Paul and this and that and the other. And if you're watching, I'm not a fan right now. It would be great for Paul to be able to get back up into K-League 1. And then we could have the Paul Neat Derby more regularly where Daejeon and Seoul face each other. But I don't know. There's just been something about Anyang this year. There's been something about them. And I think especially at home, finally playing in front of fans at home, I think that'll be enough for them to get it done. And then look, if it's Gangwon that they're facing in the promotion relegation final, you can go ahead and book your tickets for that FC Seoul versus FC Anyang match next year. Because I just don't see Gangwon doing it. If it's Songnam that slipped down there, then I think that's going to be ooh. And for the storytellers out there, if it was FC Seoul versus Anyang for a spot in K-League
Yeah, I was
1,
going to get to that. Yeah.
oh, that'd be great.
Something very poetic about it being Anyang versus Seoul in the promotion relegation playoffs. I think that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Paul enjoy a season.
In K-League 2.
Just in general.
me.
But Daejeon have played... No, I'm joking. But yeah, Daejeon have beat Anyang 3 out of 4 times this season, and they've won both times in Anyang. So Daejeon do seem to have Anyang's number. Different, obviously, in the playoffs, and Anyang do have that advantage of being the home team, so they don't need to win. Yeah.
2-2. Moya
2-2 in Anyang. 2-2.
Moya scores a dramatic equalizer late.
Masatoshi Ishida with the brace for Daejeon. Yeah, we've given you the scores and everything this week. There we go. I think that's what it is. It'll be narrow, and probably Anyang to progress on the draw rule. So
hopefully a score draw, please.
Hopefully.
And who's winning between Jeonbuk and Ulsan?
I feel like it probably is Jeonbuk's turn now after Ulsan having the better of us this season. It depends. If Dave Bultuis isn't playing, if Lee Dong-jun isn't playing, I think Jeonbuk have a good chance. They are nearly at full strength, bar Barrow and Chae Young-jun who aren't available. I can't remember who else is not available, but Jeonbuk are a fairly good strength at the moment. They did look good in the second half against Suwon. Ilyachenko's found form in that last match. Gustavo's still scoring. Yeah, we'll see the lineups, but it's let's be honest. It's gonna be a draw, isn't it? And we're gonna go neck and neck for the final 3 rounds. So
it's gonna be decided.
Draw.
It's gonna be decided by Jeju.
Hopefully, a score draw is what I'd say. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be decided by Jeju, and that's definitely what's gonna happen.
Storm into Jeonju, and they're gonna win 3-0. And
especially if they're playing for that 3rd place player.
Just gift that to Ulsan.
Yeah. Well, who knows? But you can find out on Saturday, and all those games are on tv.kleague.com. And there's the plug.
There it is. Well done. Speaking of plugs, where else can people get more involved with the podcast if they would like to?
Well, if they're not already getting involved with our live shows that are usually on Tuesdays, but tonight on a Wednesday, then they can also get involved at K-League United on social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and the other one, Instagram. That's it. And you can also
keep
nail
going.
it tonight. I'm on it.
Keep going.
I'm on it. Don't worry. And if you would like to do more than just interact with us, but support us, you can do that as well on patreon.com/K-League United. Lots of things going on over there, including plenty of Sorare. Yes, we have injury lists. Stop laughing at me, Ryan. I can see it in your eyes. Yeah.
We've got stuff.
We got stuff on there, loads of stuff on there. But no, we have got some stuff on there. We genuinely do put a lot of stuff on there, and we're hoping that people do like what we put on there. But yes, $5 tier, we have the weekly injury list for K-League 1 that we put on there with gathering of all the news and everything to find out. Yes, Ryan, I know. I'm really doing well here. I know.
Do the whole outro.
Yeah, $10. You can also chuck in your starting 11s on top of that. But we also have full-length interviews, Saturdays, and lengthier editorial pieces. They're all on Patreon as well. So get involved. Lots of good stuff going over there. And would you like me to continue, Ryan? Because I could tell you where they can listen to us.
Where can they listen to us every Thursday, Matthew?
Where can't they listen to us? Well, actually, a lot of places, but FNR is where you can listen to us. That's down in Australia, Football Nation Radio. That goes out every Thursday. So hello to Australian listeners if you're listening to this live down there. But you can also listen to this podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, a couple of the other ones, TuneIn Radio,
Spotify,
Podbang. They're all there. Yeah,
all of them.
And that's it, Ryan.
And if you leave us a review at one of those places, then you'll be entered into this month's K-League Kit Contest, which is a goalkeeper top from some team that's playing in the playoff final. The Jerks. It's a Daejeon Hana Citizen 20th anniversary kit. It's quite nice. And if you want to get in on the celebrations along with Paul and everybody else, and go ahead and get in on that. But for
We'll
now,
get Paul to announce it. That's what we're
Yes.
going to do.
for a slightly loopy Matthew Binns, I'm Ryan Walters. Thanks so much for watching.
정주성 공격 복귀 김신우